So of course, in economics, if something is happening with demand, there's usually concurrent things or concomitant things happening in supply, right? Corresponding things. That's the word I'm trying to look for. Geez. Corresponding things. So once again, when we're drawing our demand and supply curves, right, we use the alphabet to remember where to put the price compared to the quantity. We sing the alphabet to ourselves. P comes before Q in the alphabet song, or just the alphabet writ large, not the alphabet song itself. And so we're going to put the P to the left of the Q because we speak English and we write from left to right. We have a upward sloping supply curve. The up is right in the name here, upward sloping, right? So we're going to draw a curve that's going to be straight. It's going to go up like that. The first thing that's going to shift our supply, and it's going to be probably like 60% of the problems and the stuff that you'll see, will be about what are called your inputs, or what are also called your factors of production. And so this is, lovingly abbreviated as FOP, factors of production, or your inputs. So this is going to be changes to the cost of either land. Did your rent go up? Was it more expensive when you had to buy that property compared to 2 years ago? Materials. If I'm running the bean broker and all of a sudden the price of coffee beans doubles, I'm going to be able to provide less coffee at any given price. Your labor. It's become more expensive to hire labor, both because of just natural reasons that we'll explain at the beginning of chapter 4, so stay tuned for that. But also because of the fact that, state legislatures around the country have been passing living wage, minimum wage laws, which has made it more difficult for places that, operate off very low wage labor, like fast food and pizza and other kind of places like that. It's been more difficult. It's made it more difficult for them to operate. And essentially the increased cost of labor has resulted in a shift inwards of the supply curve. So let's just go ahead and say any change in the cost is going to cause this supply shift inwards. So what this is telling me is at any given price, right? Even if the cup of coffee, is $2, or if the cup of coffee is $4, or the cup of coffee is $6, right? At any given price, Bean Broker is able to provide less of it because it's more expensive to hire workers. It's more expensive to buy coffee beans. The other factors that are going to influence supply, and I'll try to frame them all as things that will move supply leftward, because supply gets a little bit more tricky than demand. We're used to being on the demand side of the equation, right? We're used to being at markets or shopping on Amazon, and we're not so used to running companies and, dealing with material costs and stuff like that, right? So demand can be a little bit more tricky. The second one that could affect supply is going to be natural conditions. So, the weather. So let's think about, so this will be weather, and this is, for agricultural goods, right? But it's also for, outdoor venues, concerts and stuff like that, right? And it's also for outdoor recreation. Skiing, snowboarding, mountain biking, so on and so forth, right? Like the conditions of the environment are going to dictate the economic activity in that particular place, right? So if this was, instead of coffee, right? If this was, talking about, ski passes, And we had, for example, there's, very little snow this year. The mountain is going to have to not be open as many days. They're going to have to close certain runs and so on and so forth, right? And so the weather condition is going to dictate the amount of, and obviously this is not going to be, $4. It's going to be more like $140. It's so ridiculously expensive to go skiing these days. But there's going to be less of a provision of of ski runs because of the fact that there was very little snow, right? You'll also see a lot of, things about, it was really hot in Florida, and so the orange crop didn't do too well, or it'll just say it's really hot in Florida, something like that, right? Or there was a drought in California. What happens to the production of nuts, right? Because I don't know if you guys know, but like 90% of their production of nuts comes from California. So when there's a drought in California, the price of nuts is going to increase because of the weather conditions. Also, you can think about that as a factor of production. Water is a factor of production for agricultural, right? So it could really fit into two different categories. Our third shifter of supply we could think about is government policies. So the easiest government policy to cause an inward shift in supply would just be, say EX, there's an increase in the tax on, skiing or something like that. So anytime there's an increase in the tax, that's going to cause a leftward shift in the demand curve. And lastly, I'll do a new curve for this one because it's actually really difficult to think about, except in cases of like natural disasters. Like, what would a technology reversion be like, right? Like, we usually have technology gains for the most part. So instead of trying to, think very creatively and come out with an interesting example, I'm just going to kind of redo the graph. It's always good practice for us to redo some graphs. Price, quantity, upward sloping supply curve. And so 4 is going to be technology. And so for this one, we're going to say, so for example, it becomes, there's new robots that make car production, 3 times as fast or something, right? So as a result of the increase in technology, we have a shift outwards in our supply curve, which should be, it should have the same slope. Just not doing a great job today. The slope does not change. It just gets copied and pasted out. So at any given price, they're able to provide more because of the new technology, the new technological advances. Questions on demand and supply changes as we define them. We'll put them together in a second here. Nope, good.